I didn't plan this. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because the moment you stop chasing attention is the moment it starts chasing you. And I need you to stay with me for the next few minutes, because what I'm about to say will either unlock a level of power you've never touched, or it will make you deeply uncomfortable. And either reaction means it's working. I reset my hormones without realizing that what I was really resetting was my presence, my standards, my nervous system, my appetite for chaos. And one morning I looked in the mirror and I didn't recognize the woman staring back at Menot because she looked prettier, but because she looked calm, rested, regulated, and unmistakably expensive. Men started orbiting, not flirting loudly, not begging, not peacocking, but hovering, lingering, inventing reasons to stay in my space. And the wild part is I wasn't trying. I wasn't posting thirst traps. I wasn't chasing validation. I wasn't performing femininity for the male gaze. I was sleeping deeper, eating cleaner, moving slower, saying no faster, and honoring my body like it was a temple instead of a battlefield. There's a line by Nietzsche that says, "You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star." And for years I thought chaos was the prerequisite for passion, for magnetism, for love. But no one tells you that too much chaos makes you predictable, reactive, needy, easy to read. When I stabilized my hormones, when my cortisol stopped running the show, when my blood sugar stopped swinging my moods like a pendulum, my voice softened and somehow became more commanding. My eye contact lingered without effort. My boundaries stopped sounding like apologies. This isn't about supplements or trends or biohacks. This is about the feminine nervous system finally feeling safe enough to be selective. When a woman's body feels safe, she becomes intoxicating because she's no longer broadcasting hunger. Men can smell hunger. They are drawn to peace. I started waking up without that tight chest anxiety. Stopped craving chaos disguised as chemistry. Stopped confusing intensity with intimacy. And without announcing it, my standards rose. And here's the part no one prepares you for. When your internal chemistry changes, the men who were comfortable around your old self become uncomfortable around your new one. They feel the shift before you say a word. If this is already landing, do me a favor and tap subscribe. Because Femphoria isn't about dating tricks. It's about becoming the woman who doesn't need them. And I promise you, once you feel this, you won't want to go back. Here's what actually happened in real life. Not some glossy montage version, but the quiet, almost eerie reality of it. Conversations slowed down. Men listened differently. I would say less, and somehow be heard more. I stopped oversharing, not because I was playing hard to get, but because my body no longer needed external regulation. When your hormones are dysregulated, you talk to soothe yourself. You explain to feel safe. You chase clarity to calm your nervous system. When they are balanced, silence becomes seductive. There's a psychological principle that says people value what feels scarce and stable at the same time. And that's what regulated femininity is. Scarce energy, stable presence. I remember sitting across from a man who used to dominate every conversation. And suddenly he was asking questions, leaning in, mirroring my posture, trying to impress me without realizing it. And I knew in that moment that the power had shifted permanently. Not because I manipulated him, but because I was no longer leaking energy. Luxury isn't loud. Luxury is controlled. And when your hormones are in harmony, your body moves like it knows its worth. I started choosing protein over sugar, sleep over scrolling, morning light over midnight drama. And those choices told my subconscious that I was a woman who expected to be treated well. Your subconscious sets the tone long before your mouth does. There's a quote I love. The body keeps the score, and it's terrifying and liberating at the same time. Because it means every boundary you don't enforce becomes inflammation. Every man you tolerate becomes fatigue. Every situation you stay in too long becomes hormonal noise. When I cleaned up my internal environment, my external world followed without effort. Men started offering help unprompted, holding eye contact a second longer, feeling unsettled in a way that made them want to earn access. And listen carefully, Because this is where most women get it wrong. Attention is not the goal. Respect is. Anyone can get attention. A regulated woman gets reverence. If you're feeling this, comment your biggest takeaway. Because naming it anchors it. And anchoring it makes it real. By the time I realized men wouldn't leave me alone, I was already past caring. And that's the final paradox I want you to understand. Because this is where feminine power becomes irreversible. The moment you stop needing to be chosen is the moment you are. When your hormones are balanced, you're no longer chasing dopamine hits from texts, situationships, or validation. You're operating from oxytocin and serotonin, from safety and self-trust. And that changes the way you walk into rooms, the way you sit in silence, the way you leave when something feels off without over-explaining. Men feel it as a challenge, a mystery, a standard they can't negotiate down. I didn't become colder. I became clearer. I didn't become harder. I became steadier. And steadiness is devastatingly attractive in a world addicted to chaos. This is why so many women glow up physically and still feel invisible because magnetism is biochemical before it's visual. When you respect your circadian rhythm, your stress levels, your nourishment, your rest, you're telling the world that access to you is earned, not assumed. And that message echoes everywhere. I want you to rewatch this, not for motivation, but for integration. Because the woman who understands this doesn't just attract better men. She attracts better opportunities, better treatment, better timelines. She stops explaining herself to people who don't listen. She stops auditioning for roles she's already overqualified for. And the most powerful part is this. You don't have to announce your transformation. Let them notice. Let them wonder. Let them feel the absence of your old energy and the presence of your new one. If this shifted something in you, turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. Because femphoria is where we stop surviving and start selecting. And remember this, because it will stay with you long after the screen goes dark. When a woman's body feels safe, her soul becomes sovereign, and the world responds accordingly. And before you close this, before you scroll, before you let your nervous system pull you back into the familiar, I want to seal this with something personal and undeniable. Because the real transformation didn't stop with men noticing me. It stopped with me noticing myself. I noticed how my mornings felt slower and richer, how my intuition sharpened, how I could read a room without absorbing it, how I no longer felt the urge to convince anyone of my value. That's when you become unrecognizable, not because you changed your face, but because you changed your frequency. Philosophy has always whispered this truth. That power is not taken. It is embodied. And psychology confirms it again and again. People respond to emotional regulation more than beauty, to certainty more than words, to calm dominance more than effort. When you stop living in hormonal survival mode, you stop attracting men who want to consume you and start attracting men who want to invest. And investment energy feels different. It's slower, steadier, respectful, intentional. You'll feel it in how they wait, how they listen, how they don't rush access to your body or your time. This is why I'm so intentional about what I teach here. Because femphoria isn't about chasing desirability. It's about becoming untouchable in the most feminine way possible. I want you to remember this sentence the next time you feel tempted to overgive, over-explain, or overperform. Regulation is rebellion in a world that profits from your exhaustion. And the woman who regulates herself becomes the woman everyone else adjusts to. If this resonated deep, not just intellectually, but viscerally, let me know in the comments. Because your voice matters here. Save this. Revisit it. Let it rewire you. Because once you experience life from this version of yourself, there is no going back, and you were never meant to. And let me say this slowly, so it lands in your body and not just your mind. You don't need to become someone else. You need to come home to yourself. That's what the reset really is. It's not perfection. It's alignment. It's choosing yourself so consistently that your nervous system finally exhales and the world adjusts around that exhale. Men feel it as gravity. Opportunities feel it as timing. Your life feels it as ease. You stop forcing outcomes and start allowing standards. You stop asking, do they like me? And start noticing, do I like how I feel here? That single shift rewrites everything. And if you're feeling a quiet confidence right now, a subtle fire, a sense of, oh, this is me, then trust that. That's your body recognizing truth. Stay with this version of you. Protect her. Build her life slowly and deliberately. Because the most powerful women aren't the loudest or the most chaste, they're the ones who are so regulated, so rooted, so self-respecting that everything meant for them finds them effortlessly.